There comes a moment in life when you realize you have been standing on the same page for a very long time, reading the same thoughts, repeating the same fears, waiting for certainty before allowing yourself to move. Somewhere inside another chapter is waiting. A chapter that asks for courage before clarity. A chapter that asks for trust before guarantees. Or a chapter that asks whether we are willing to participate in our own life instead of only imagining it. Welcome to Genevieve Grove. I am Genevieve, a writer. I share reflections on slow living, inner transformation, the rhythms of nature, and the deeper journeys that shaped a human life. Today, for the first time, I want to speak about the 3 years I spent in America. A journey that began with almost no plan, 2 suitcases, a plane ticket, and a quiet faith that somehow life would meet me along the way. Because sometimes we do not need to see the entire story before we begin. Sometimes we only need the willingness to turn the page. Sometimes I think about life as if it were a book resting quietly in our hands. There are pages we know by heart, paragraphs we could almost recite, line by line, moments that feel familiar, even comforting, because we have lived inside them for a long time. And then there are pages we feel. We sense them before we see them. A subtle awareness that something is ready to change, even if we cannot yet describe it how. For a very long time, I did not speak about the years that I spent in America. It was such a tender time, so open, so undefined. When I decided to go, I did not have a plan in the way we usually imagine what a plan can be. So there was no clear structure waiting for me, no certainty about work, no certainty about where exactly I would live, no detailed picture of how everything would unfold, only a plane ticket and 2 suitcases. Inside there were clothes for different seasons. Everything reduced to what was truly needed. Only what could support daily life in a simple way. I remember how unusual this decision sounds to many people around me. Some were curious, some were very concerned. while some try to understand how something so open could feel so clear from the inside. So there were questions come from many directions. Where will you live? How the hell you are going to support yourself? What if something unexpected happens? These questions were not wrong. They were expressions of care from my friends. Also expressions of how deeply we are taught to seek certainty before we begin anything. So at that time, my marriage was coming to a completion. My life in Italy has reached where I could feel something inside me asking for space, for air, for freedom, for a different horizon. It was the recognition that a chapter has finished. Sometimes, when a chapter completes, the next one does not immediately show its title. Sometimes, the next chapter begins with complete openness. What carried me through that period actually was something very simple. That was a form of faith. Faith with the capital F. It was not faith in a religion sense. Although for those who feel close to religion, this can be a beautiful support. But for me, it was a lifted, a complete, wholeheartedly trust. Trust in life itself. Trust in the intelligence that moves quietly through things. Trust that when we respond sincerely to what we feel being called forward, something somehow will begin to meet us during the way. It is a feeling that we are not moving alone, even when we cannot see how everything will come together. At the same time, a deep trust in oneself, in me, in one's capacity to respond, to adapt, to learn, to grow into the circumstances that appear. Sometimes we imagine that confidence, it must come before the step. Yet, very often, Confidence grows because of the step itself. We discover part of ourselves that were waiting for the invitation of movement. So looking back, I can see that the external situation was uncertain, very uncertain. Yet internally there was a firmness, a steadiness. Because something inside, it felt so much aligned. Many of us carry dreams that feel very alive. The wish to live in a different place. The wish to create something meaningful. The wish to express a part of ourselves that has been waiting patiently. Sometimes the mind asks for guarantees, but life rarely offers that. No guarantees. Life only offers participation, if you will. When we allow ourselves to participate, then something begins to open. Maybe gently, maybe gradually, very often, in a way that could not have been planned. And during those 3 years, I learned that we do not need to see the entire book in order to turn one page. We only need to sense that life is asking for honesty, for trust, for faith. Even though there is that human tendency to wait until everything feels completely ready. At the same time, the wisdom that recognizes when readiness is already present in a different form, that is a readiness of the heart. A readiness of the soul. A readiness that says, there is something here for me to live. Each life carried its own rhythm. Some chapters ask for stillness, while some ask for patience. And there are chapters ask for movement. None is better than the other. And yet, there are moments when something within us gently whispers, there is more of me waiting to be lived, to experience. Your life is a living book. No one else can turn the page for you. Also, there is no need to rush the story to the end. Some pages, they open so slowly. Some pages ask for courage. And some pages ask for trust in something we cannot fully see yet. Trust in ourselves. Trust in life. Trust that when we move with sincerity, we are met in ways that often only become visible afterwards. Perhaps the next chapter does not need to be fully written in advance. Perhaps it only needs a willingness to begin. Or perhaps, very quietly, the page is already waiting beneath your fingers. And in the meantime, I am starting with my second book. I already have the title, the story. I see images. I hear sentences. Not a complete book, but one small step at a time. One sentence after the other. Slowly, the book comes alive, becomes part of me. And that is life, slowly, steadily, with courage. From my heart to yours, Genevieve.